Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Eve Echoes. Tonight on the show, we're going to be discussing a bit the thing that was announced recently, which is the Auto Salvager, whatever the hell it's called. We're going to try to understand why this was announced and why it will be introduced, what is the purpose of it, and of course, how it works. Well, that part is a bit unclear. And we're also going to talk a bit about what salvaging means, what salvaging actually means. So let's start with the basics. On the 5th of March, this specific item was announced, and this is called the Auto Salvager, and as per its description, it scans the surrounding NPCs, shipwrecks, and uses the salvage beam to retrieve all items inside. Note, this module will not salvage the shipwreck of capsuleers. Now, let's talk a bit about definitions and what salvaging and what looting is. Salvaging and looting are two different things. If you come from EVE Online, you probably know what I mean. If you don't come from EVE Online, I'm going to explain this really short. Looting is the act of grabbing the stuff from a wreck, and now in EVE Online, when you loot the wreck and the wreck is completely empty, the wreck itself does not go spoof, it does not despawn, because the entity of that specific wreck is actionable for salvaging. You can activate a specific module which is called a salvager on the wreck, and you have a set of success chances based on your salvaging skills, whatever. It works similar to hacking, and once you salvage it, the wrecks go spoof, and the resources gained upon salvaging are the rig materials. Now, in EVE Echoes, this was redesigned, and salvaging practically no longer exists because the wrecks themselves contain a shipwreck, a ship debris, which is lootable, and with that debris you take it into the station and you reprocess it, and that's how you get the rig materials, and this is how the salvaging operation was redesigned. Now, in EVE Echoes, of course, when you loot the contents of a wreck and the wreck is completely empty, the wreck will go spoof. It will despawn, because there's nothing that you can do upon it, and there's nothing you can activate on it. Now, this item being introduced does not change that mechanic. If you are coming from EVE Online and you were hoping to get a new mechanic of obtaining rigs by salvaging them, this is not the case. So salvaging, actually obtaining rig materials, those resources will still be kept as a mechanic of reprocessing the ship debris, which is an item which can be found inside the shipwrecks. So this item, which is called a salvager, has nothing to do with salvage, like the salvaging stuff that you would do in EVE Online. So I don't really understand why this was named Salvager, because, well, it just loots. It behaves like a mobile tractor unit. It's another item in EVE Online. You just deploy it and it starts grabbing stuff from afar, pulls them together and loots the wrecks. Of course, the wrecks still remain because you still need to salvage them. But in EVE Echoes, the player base actually asked for such an item, like for a mobile tractor unit that would just deploy in space, and it will tract using a tractor beam, get all the wrecks near it, so pulling them from ranges, I don't know, 100 kilometers, whatever. And it will. This would actually help players, the players doing PvE and NPC content, to get the loot as well, so they wouldn't have to be traveling to each and every one of those racks to basically loot them. Now, in EVE Online, looting is restricted to a range of 2.5 kilometers. I'm not sure. I don't think that changed in recent times. I still think you need to be in proximity of a wreck or a can 2.5 kilometers to be able to loot that. Now, in EVE Echoes, this was introduced from the beginning. The loot radius is 10 kilometers. So having this item, this module, that you will have to fit on your mid-slots if you want to basically loot the wrecks, just having 15 kilometers, that's... I don't think this makes any sense. Now, the item is indeed good because it will help players, loot everything, but having just 15 kilometers, considering that you already have 10-kilometer range that you can loot anything from, 5 kilometers extra is not going to help that much. It will help players that do run alts or alternate tunes, alternate accounts, which, I don't know, they use this alt account to clear up the wrecks once the main account, the main character finished up the mission. But for your average Joe player that just has one character, one tune, being able to deploy a mobile tractor unit like an EVE Online, it's something that you can do by yourself, so you have all your fit and all your stuff, fit for PvE, fit for the specific content missions that you're running, you're destroying everything, and you should be able to deploy an MTU, a mobile tractor unit, that pulls near all the wrecks from that encounter. So I'm not sure I get this. It looks like this is a mechanic that was specifically intended for people multi-boxing, or it could serve very well for players that are new to the game and aren't involved in corporation activities, and well, they don't have the necessary ship and DPS like to participate and to, I don't know, deal sufficient damage to be considered a good asset on the field. In any PvE encounter or special anomaly or rally for that matter. So the big guys use their big guns to shoot down the big NPCs, while the newbies will basically use this item to fly from wrecks to wrecks, or at least from cluster of wrecks to cluster of wrecks, activate the module so they get all this loot and they can either, I don't know, dump it in the corporation hangar or just reprocess it by themselves. Maybe they are specialized on reprocessing and mining and industry, whatever, and gain the resources from there. But again, as I mentioned, EVE Echoes is not EVE Online. EVE Echoes salvaging mechanic does not exist. There's only looting, and the rig materials are only obtainable from reprocessing the ship debris that is actually an item that is lootable from the wrecks. So not giving us a mobile tractor unit that you would deploy in space to grab all the loot and wrecks from, I don't know, 100 kilometers. There was a typo in their announcement. Initially they said it would be 100 kilometers, but then they changed it to 15 kilometers and actually mentioned it was a typo. Not sure how 100 kilometers or 15 kilometers can be a typo there, but I'm guessing it has to do something with the ship that will probably launch soon. From my understanding and from what you guys mentioned in the comment section, the porpoise was probably scrapped, so we will be getting the Noctis most likely, and that will probably have some bonuses for salvaging. But again, it's not salvaging, for looting, or for at least for having this specific item. If that ship does not have a bonus to fit this specific item, either to increase its range, in efficiency, I don't know, it's just dumb to not have that. I mean, just as is, 15 kilometers versus 10 kilometers, it's just dumb design. Now, we've been interpreting these patch notes and announcements and whatever for some time now, and I honestly don't know what to actually believe anymore. So when they say that the surrounding NPC shipwrecks will be scanned and the beam will retrieve all items inside, does this refer to the module handling one shipwreck at a time, or resolving all the shipwrecks that are currently in a 15-kilometer radius? So will all the wrecks be looted at the same time, or the wrecks will be resolved one by one? If it's one by one, then 10 seconds for each of those wrecks is kinda dumb again. So I'm hopeful that this design will actually have a looting of all the wrecks that are currently in the module's radius. Otherwise, if you use a fast ship, even for your alt, just moving from wreck to wreck and looting everything inside with the normal standard looting mechanic is going to be faster than using this module, which takes 10 seconds to loot one wreck at a time. Again, this is not something confirmed, but if it's one wreck at a time, it's going to be extremely dumb. Another interesting aspect is the range, 7.5, 15 kilometers. What happens if you're closer than 7.5 kilometers? Those wrecks would not be handled by this module?
Are you serious?
And again, to enforce the idea of 15 kilometers versus 10 kilometers, if you are in a Husky battleship, which travels around the battlefield with 100 meters per second, And having 15 kilometers versus 10 kilometers, that's not going to solve much, will it?
You're fired!
If you are fit for sniping, you'll still have to move to get in range of those wrecks so you can activate the module. So what are we talking about here? This item, for solo players, complete crap. For multi-boxers, it's going to be useful. For players that operate in groups and rely on others to clear the NPCs, and they just come in with a specialized ship, like for example Noctis using this module, that also might work. Again, solo players just got completely screwed. Again! So I'm not sure why they called it Salvager. They could have just called it a looter, because that's what it's going to do. And I honestly do not understand why they didn't add a module, or not necessarily a module that you fit on your ship, something that you could deploy from your cargo hold, like a mobile tractor unit, to help you get those racks even from 100 kilometers away. Why did they went with this module that just gets fit on the mid slots and has a 15 kilometers max range? We don't know. They tried doing something, and that should be praised. This item is going to be helpful, but again, they tried to reinvent the wheel on something that already exists, and it works perfectly in EVE Online. We can debate until tomorrow about questionable design decisions, but this one is just another example of something they could have implemented perfectly, top-notch, from the first go, and we don't know what the hell happened, but somehow we got something that's half good, half bad, and for some people is going to be completely useless. Don't forget about our community question of the week. We'll be announcing the winners in a couple of days. We can still participate if you want. Just drop a comment below with your in-game name and character ID and answer the community question of the week, which is, what is the most pressing issue that you would like to get fixed in EVE Echoes? That's it for today. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you guys for watching. A very big shout out to my channel supporters, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.